Introducing Dr. Clyde and on their name, put some respect. Yeah. I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. Gotta get you back on cold. Reality check. For the young and the old. Reality check. Yeah, the heal your soul. Reality check. Get ready for the show.
What up, though? What up, though? What? No. Hey, how's everybody doing? I know we're running a little late, but I want to do this reality check today. And the reality check tonight is about women. And it's about the uniqueness of women. And what makes, to me, women very unique is that traditionally, ever since the 19th century, women have been known as computers. And they got this name as computer because of the fact that back in the day, women used to do a lot of the computation, and if you remember, it was a sister who made it possible for the first successful flight into space, based upon their calculations. They made a movie about it. I can't think of the movie right now. But the thing is, this is so as you can see, women have always been in the forefront, and Black women are in the forefront today. But one of the things that makes it very interesting is that we don't really recognize the important role that Black women are playing. Yes, sometimes in a sense, people feel as though they shouldn't really give Black women that much credit, and they think sometimes, in a sense, we're over, giving them too much credit. But it's not that we're getting too much credit. Like Dorvell said, they made the movie Hidden Figures, and that movie, in a sense, discussed the brilliance of the Black woman and what they could do. And this is something that I think is very important, because today we lose sight of the fact is that some of the most outspoken, most militant, part of the FBA community is Black women, because sometimes Black women, when they stand on business, they're not going to give in. They're not going to give up. They're going to stand, and they're going to be strong. And this is something that we really, really have to understand, And Dorvell says that computer is the motherboard. Yeah, that's right. It's the motherboard. And again, we see that use of the term of a woman, the motherboard, because see, the woman, in a sense, is out there to help us to be successful. I remember back in the day, when I first I was writing a lot of articles, and I was doing a lot of research, and I wrote these articles and books, and I published them. I began publishing articles a little too quick. I published articles back in the 70s. That was before I got my PhD or anything, and I didn't understand, in the sense that by publishing articles so early, I made people jealous of me. And this jealousy has lasted up to today. So you see, in certain communities where they still try to, attack my research, even though they can't attack it because, they don't have the ability. But again, in a sense, we do need more of this understanding about the role of our women in terms of our great creativity, not just Harriet Tubman and some of the other women who did great things, because see, our women have always been in the forefront, because the fact, in a sense, is that what I love about our women is that they're very stubborn. Yes, it can be hard on you if you don't understand how to compromise. And sadly, many men don't know how to compromise. But when you can compromise and make accommodations, you can find that the Black woman, especially your woman, can be a very great helpmate. You see, a very great helpmate. And what makes them great helpmates is because of the fact, in the sense, is that if they care about you, I'll even say if they love you, they're not going to let you do stupid shit, because we have a tendency, I'm sorry to say as men, we have a tendency sometimes to do stupid shit, because sometimes we don't think it through. Or sometimes in a sense, we'll just go out there and just, just do something. But a lot of times, your woman got your back. And if your woman's got your back, you can't help but be successful. And see, this is what makes our women, so important. And given the fact in the sense that they're like computers, they can think of things. My wife, my baby doll, what made her so beautiful to me is the fact that, well, she was beautiful anyway, beautiful legs, very sexy woman. She was very beautiful. But at the same time, is that she always had ideas. And not only did she have ideas, but she allowed me in a sense to really get out there. I remember back in the day, I was saying, damn, these people are making all these videos and these people are saying this and saying that, and they're wrong. They need some truth. They need some truth. And my wife said, well, why don't you make some videos? Why don't you get out there and tell your side of the story or tell your view on history? And so this wouldn't have never taken place. It wouldn't have been for my wife, Suti, encouraging me to go out there and to speak up, encouraging me to go out there and share the knowledge that I had. And this is the beauty of the fact, in the sense is that usually every week, on this show, it's usually me and Eve. And Eve has a lot of good questions, a lot of questions that many people want to ask, but they don't ask them. And the reason they don't ask them is because they're afraid of the answers. And see, that's what I like about. That's what I like about, in a sense, sometimes women who are daring, because see, some women who are daring, they don't really fear. They don't really fear the consequences of their ideas. They don't really fear the consequences of their thoughts, because see, they feel that if this is so, then it's true. And this is something, in a sense, that makes it kind of hard on me as a man, because see, a lot of times, we doubt sometimes ourselves. Sometimes we doubt, or sometimes we have questions, and sometimes we say, damn, it can't be that simple. It can't be that easy. But see, that's why, in a sense, when you have a good woman around you, that good woman, in a sense, can give you, in a sense, the encouragement. That good woman, in a sense, can give you direction. Yes, I'm sorry to say, don't get mad at me. I'm not saying that men are children. I mean, a lot of times women think we're children, but I'm not saying that men are children. But what I'm saying, in a sense, is that sometimes when you have a good woman, sometimes when you have a woman that really loves you, really cares about you, then that woman, in a sense, will give you, in a sense, the knowledge, the encouragement to go out there and fight, to go out there and deliver messages. I remember back in the day when I used to, I used to be invited to give a lot of lectures back in the day. That's when I was famous. But I didn't understand, in a sense, it's no fun being famous without having the money. Rich and famous is better than just being famous, because famous, you don't have any money. But anyway, when I was famous, I get flown around. A lot of times, in the sense, I'd be invited to speak in universities, be invited to speak at conferences, and I didn't have to pay the money. They would pay my way, They'd pay my airfare and pay my hotel, pay for my hotel and stuff like that. So it was kind of fun, but at the same time, in a sense, what I found is that when you had to go off of the caprices or the ideations of other people, is kind of, their ideas, whatever their ideas are, or how they see you, how they view a given situation. It's not always good, because it's best to have your own money. It's best to have your own money, and it's best, in a sense, to have your own means to promote your work. And that's what made me very happy 16 years ago when I made my first video on YouTube. Yes, I made my first video on YouTube 16 years ago. And most of my early videos were short, and sometimes they had music, but it didn't really have, back then, you really couldn't have any speech. It wasn't too much communication. So most of my earliest videos are basically, in a sense, a compilation of pictures, a compilation of slides, and you had to read the slides to understand what I was talking about, because you didn't really, you didn't really you didn't really have, in a sense, that sound. You did have sound. You could do music, but you couldn't really you couldn't really talk about issues. That's what makes this a very beautiful time, is that you can talk about issues. And that's what I enjoy about, making videos on Sunday, Thursday. Today is Wednesday, and I'll just tell you, and I'll be honest with you, is that reality check is totally, it's totally produced, in a sense, by Jess Deceive, or Jess Eve, because in a sense she gives the ideas, whatever she wants to talk about, that we talk about. And today we were going to talk about birthdays, and today is her birthday. So let's sing happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, Eve, happy birthday to you. Now, we can get that out of the way. But again, in the sense is that, but I think that birthdays are important because, see, birthdays are our origin days. What do you mean? Okay, birthdays are our origin days because this was when we began. You see? This is when we began. Birthdays are oracle days. This is when we began. This is the beginning of who and what we are. And then when you're around that good woman, that woman understands stuff, then you can understand and you can move forward, And that's, important. Here's the comment. Zaptepi said, I purchased your book, History of Blacks. I have been collecting, I've been inserting my books off his website, and today is my son's birthday. Laughing out loud, but now I'll collect yours. Thank you, Zaptepi. Be supportive. I mean, hey, they're out there. It's good books. Support a brother. Chemistry Black Magic says, happy birthday, Eve. Yes, happy birthday. Share the magic, baby. Share the magic. But again, in a sense, is that, so it's very important that we understand. But what I like about the idea is this, is that, back in the 19th, early 20th century, it was Europeans, white men. He was the first one to notice, in a sense, the important role that women could play in computation. And that's how women became known as computers. They were known as computers because of their math and computation ability. It's interesting that for much of the latter part of the 20th century, many people started to talk about the fact that computation math was a left brain activity, and that it was a left brain activity that was gifted only to men. And this is kind of surprising when you think about the fact that originally, that originally, it was believed that women made the best people in terms of mathematics and computation. But what I like about the fact is that if you notice today, is that the real research that's coming out, besides my research, is being done by Black women, and this is very important. There's a few brothers out there, they talk a little bit about Black history, but they don't really get into it. They're not really serious. But it's a lot of sisters who are very serious. It's a lot of sisters who are out there really, doing that work. Some of them, in a sense, aren't posting their work. They're not publishing books, but they're doing a lot of great works, and they're facilitating, in a sense, the rise of a literate Black population as teachers, and a Black population is going to be grounded in their own, in a sense, knowledge of self, and have the confidence to go out into the world and challenge. Yes, and challenge it. And so that's why I labeled this particular discussion today, computers, and the woman as a computer, because the woman is a computer. See, and it's really good if you can get your woman. I'm not against anybody, but I just feel that it's a man and a woman that make things move. I think, in a sense, that when you get a good woman, your woman wants you to have any and everything that you want. Yes. If you get a good woman, your woman wants you to have everything that you hope and pray for. And so because they want you to have everything you hope and pray for, then a lot of times you can get success. I believe that some Black men lack the ability to get success because the fact is that they made baby mamas, and they didn't support those baby mamas. They're not supporting their children. And I think therefore, in a sense, they're getting karmatized, negatively karmatized. In other words, they've created a karma that is negative, a karma in a sense that's holding them back. And I think it's a shame because see, I know when I was growing up as a young man, I was conditioned to feel in a sense that the most important thing for me to do, was to have sex, But the whole point is this is that nobody discussed with you, your parents and nobody else discussed with you the consequences of sex. And that they didn't discuss with you that, okay, if you have sex with this woman, what if she has a baby? What if you're too young and you're having children and you don't even have a job? I mean, my wife, we had our first child when she was 16 and I was 18. Back in the early 70s, you couldn't even get a job at a factory. Yes, you could not get a job at a factory unless you was 20. And so I mean, damn, having a baby back then, you're gonna have to live with your parents, and that could be kind of complicated. But the point, what I'm saying is this: is that we have to find some way to move our people away from this whole idea that sex is the epitome of the life experience, and that we have to have some sort of a intercourse to really become the man or woman that we hope to become in this day and age. And so it's very important in the sense that we begin to respect our women for more than just the fact that they can be a sexual object, or that they can be in the sense of someone that we can, just have intercourse with. We have to understand that it's our women in a sense because of their nature, because of the fact that they've been gifted with certain intellects that allow them to be our computers, that they can provide us with more, you see, than just sexual pleasure. And this is something in a sense that I hope that other brothers will begin to recognize, and other brothers will begin to manufacture a love, a care, and concern for that woman. Because see, they are the computers. They can give us a grounding, so we have to love them, and we should always respect them. Again, you guys have a great evening. And I just wanted to talk about this issue because of the fact, in a sense, is this is something that we need to think about, and that's very important. Um, Zeb Tepe says, "I see men in a good light and always will." Great, that's good, But we have to look at women in a great light too, because it's our women, in a sense, who raise our children. Because I know that as a father, I had you know, I have 6 children, 5 boys and 1 girl. And what I found in a sense is that until in a sense, until your kids become a teenager, they don't really appreciate, their fathers, because as a kid becomes an adolescent and moves to those teenage years, they have questions. And many of these questions, they don't feel that their mom can answer because they feel their mom loved them, but their mom may, in a sense, be a little too soft on them. So I think what I found with my children is that as they became adolescents, as they moved into those teenage years, then they had a need for me. They had, in a sense, a time to question me, a time to ask me questions, and a time, in a sense, to get a grounding on who they were. So be there, be out there, and listen. Understand, in a sense, that your daughters, your woman is a computer. Understand, in a sense, that they have knowledge that can help them to really be very important. Chemistry magic, I agree completely. Women as the first calendar and clocks, of course, that's who they were. You see, because see, they were the first calendars, they were the first clocks, and it involved, in a sense, us. But women were the first calendars because the fact, in a sense, is that women bled once a month. And because women bled once a month, they created the calendar. They created a calendar so they could know when their period, might show up. Because see, back in the day, men feared women, and men feared women because women bled, but they didn't die. They didn't die. You see. But even though we feared women, we also, in a sense, we also got pleasure from women. And because we got pleasure from women, then our women, in a sense, had to find a way to know when they were going to be on their menstrual, their period, so that, the man would touch them. Because a lot of times the man wouldn't, didn't want to have sex with a woman and she's on a period, because that's kind of nasty, isn't it? But the thing is this, though, is that it's very important to understand that knowledge is power. We need our women, and we have to, in a sense, understand revere our women. Yes, yes, yes. They're our greatest asset. They're our greatest prize. See? And, that's because, as Chemistry said, he knew it. Yes, we knew it because women are fire. Fire. Because women can give us that grounding. Women can give us that ability to understand who and what we are. So we have to, in a sense, recognize reality. Recognize what reality? Recognize the reality that man is nothing alone, that man needs his woman, and that our women are like computers. And if we allow them to be like computers, we're going to go far. Yes, we're going to go far. Our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes, yes. Wars between Black Indians and whites were manufactured to produce Black slaves for whites. The English, the French, and the Dutch provided the Native Americans with guns, rum, and cheap goods to purchase Native American Indian slaves. Between 1670 and 1720, many Black Native Americans were enslaved. The Black Native Americans were sold into slavery throughout the 13 colonies, Mississippi Valley, Canada, and the British West Indies. The majority of Black Native Americans sold into slavery by whites and Indians. Slave traders were the Choctaw, the Yamasee, and other Carolina tribes. Yes, yes. Many of these tribes, like the Mandi, Mandinga, many of these tribes, we've lost their names. And their names have been lost to history because of the fact, in a sense, that when the European came, as he conquered these Black Indians, he just made them slaves. And so over time, in a sense, their nations disappeared. Over time, in a sense, their history wasn't recorded. Over time, they were even able to deny that Aboriginal Blacks even existed in America. They wanted to give our Aboriginal ancestors gifts. And the only problem with the gifts that they gave us was that often these blankets that they gave us carried smallpox. Yes, diseases. They also, in a sense, gave us another gift, rum, fire water. And this rum caused an addiction among us. And in a sense, it led to a demand for guns because it incentivized Indian slave trading. Yes, the first slaves sold in America were Indians, Black Indians, selling other Black Indians to Europeans to work on their cotton, not on their cotton plantations, their tobacco plantations, their rice plantations. Yes, yes, yes. We sold each other over here, just like in Africa, because of the fact is that we failed to understand that we are one, we are one, we are one. We should be united based upon our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes, yes. Reparations, baby, reparations. We deserve reparations. We deserve reparations like yesterday, not just today. No, not just today. We deserve our reparations. Give us our money, baby. Cut the check.
Cut the check, Black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on cold, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough, it's time for resilience. Cut the check, Black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on cold, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough.
If you're not going to speak up, support the one. If you're not going to speak up, support the one. If you're not going to speak up, support the one. If you're not going to speak up, support the one. Empire stay bright on your fears and stay away. Vampires stay bright on your fears. Control your atmosphere. Don't take your energy. Don't let them suck you. Control your atmosphere. Distraction away from me. I am you. Control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the one. the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow, I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody, yourself. Nobody but yourself.
The only thing that can save you is be one, be one, be one.